Well, today's the 30th of October 2020, and the bureaucrats have gone wild. They've gone nuts from the health department or wherever else. And Palaszczuk, or as we call, many people often call her Palachuk, now declared open borders on the 3rd of November, but only as far as Newcastle. Why not to go to Sydney, and people from Sydney not to come to Queensland. So you'll get people who live in Newcastle and have a driver's licence and rates notice, call it what you will. They definitely live in Newcastle, Swansea, or they live out at Maitland or Thornton or somewhere out that way. And they'll be able to fly from Brisbane down to Newcastle. I understand from another friend of mine that they've gone from 3 flights a week to going to go to 6 flights a week, and later on I suppose daily, and it used to be twice daily, which is all very well and good. But I'd love comedian Sammy J, who some people are familiar with, who has a little 3-minute skit on the ABC TV just before the news on Thursday nights. I love him to get into this. It'll be a case of, oh, you got a licence and a proof of that you live in Newcastle, so I'll fly up to Queensland. That's fine. When he flies back, he says, oh gee, I think I've got cousins, or I've got brothers-in-law, or anything, you name it, and live in Sydney. They live in Liverpool. They live in other places where the COVIDs have been running around from time to time. Cabramatta, it wouldn't matter. Can you drive up to Newcastle and pick me up? Yeah, they say, yeah, sure, of course we can. We'll drive you down to Sydney, spend a few days, and then go back to Newcastle, Swansea, or Broadmeadow, or any other Newcastle suburb which you'd like to mention. And if he gets a COVID attack, let's say, that's very sad, it's unfortunate. But you've got to remember a couple of things here. Number one is a 98% recovery rate. And my brother would say 99.4 or something, but I'm going with 98%. Yes, there's potentially problems like there was 100 years ago or more when the Spanish flu in 1919. People might have got a couple of other side effects or things that caused them problems, but it's not much compared to, you're staying alive, you spend your normal life out and that kind of thing. Now the bureaucrats, again, as I say, are nutty as a fruitcake, and there's going to be a lot of people that are going to complain bitterly that they've got family and friends in Gosford and in Sydney and down in Wagga or somewhere, all around New South Wales. Oh, and you can't go there. I'll make a very bold prediction in a couple of areas. Number one, they'll open the whole state of New South Wales up to Queensland. That border will be just opened up completely in November, and certainly by the beginning of December. There'd be no way would it be closed later than that. That's my first prediction, and say that's, whoa, you're out on a limb, but I reckon I'm right with that. The second prediction is Australia, which has a fantastic good fortune, luck and blessing to have very, very low problems with COVIDs. One day we'll follow the Swedish model, which is they use the sanitizer, they use masks, but they don't socially distance. They got clubs, pubs, restaurants, businesses, transport, everything is open. Yes, some people would say immediately there's relatively high death rate, but relative to what? As I said, a 98% recovery, and it's called herd immunity. Look it up. If you're not sure what that's about, look it up. Look up what the Swedes are doing by comparison to the rest of the world. It's pretty good. Now, as for international travel and that sort of thing, forget it, and forget about the Tokyo Olympics, which were delayed from this year to next year. They're not going to happen. That's another bold prediction. It'd be Paris 2024 if you're lucky. International travel to Europe and Britain and America, forget it again until the vaccine is found and used and in general use. And by the way, on that subject, just concluding, you might say, with this, it's got a 50% effective rate at the best. It's like the flu vaccine's only got a 40% effective rate. And what happens then? People take it, half the people are protected for life, the other half are vulnerable to the flu, whether it's mild or severe. It's going to happen again with COVID-19, and COVID-19 and the flu numbers are going to be blurred. There'll be no worrying about the curve as on the ABC, or worrying about daily figures of 1 death here, 3 or 4 infections in Melbourne or somewhere, or Sydney. That's all going to disappear. Herd immunity takes over. A lot of people will get it over time. Now 98% will survive it. We'll go back to a fairly normal life, except for a few years, in my opinion, international travel will be out of bounds. Anyway, they're bold predictions perhaps, that I welcome any civilised and polite comment, but thanks for viewing.